Hi, this is Christine Beckwith coming to you from the MBA Annual Convention here in Washington, D.C. And I'm super excited to bring you another episode of Power Women with Class. Class Appraisal is the sponsor. We have someone exciting here with us and someone that I'm really proud to introduce and have on the show, Rosalie Berg, who is with Strategic Vantage, and she is the president of that company. And so, Rosalie, welcome to Power Women. We're so happy to have you. Thank you for joining us. We want to take it back to the beginning of when Rosalie started in the mortgage industry, because that's what people want to hear. Tell us about that year.
Wow. That was about 18, 19 years ago. I actually answered an ad, and I think it was monster.com or something, for a VP of marketing at Open Close Technologies, which was a subsidiary of Mortgage.com. Do you remember the Mortgage.com days?
Yes, of course.
Okay, they had a technology arm, and it was called Open Close Technologies. Actually, OpenClose.com first, so going back even further. And I'd never been in the mortgage industry, and I just said, whatever. It was a VP of marketing job. It was a great job.
Yeah.
And I worked there for a few years. And then the company got sold. I didn't have a job, and so I started the agency, and that's how it went.
You know what? I think that all of us have stories where we got in sideways. It wasn't like we said on our little kid paper, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yes.
Oh, I want to be in the mortgage industry. That just doesn't happen to anybody. Exactly. So we find our way in sideways, but I think we find our way to like the niche and what we do best. Yeah. So clearly that has suited you, and that job helped you launch into that. So that's awesome. When you think back now at that year, we go back and I get very reminiscent lately and nostalgic as the years roll on to the times when I started, and you look at that girl now. If you could give her advice, knowing what you know, what would be the advice that you would have given her?
That's a great question. I think one of the most important things that I've really learned is that understanding the mortgage industry really well is really important.
Yes.
And whether I'm in marketing and public relations, and a lot of people get into marketing and public relations and they don't really learn the industry that well. They know it sort of superficially.
Yeah.
And they feel that just because they understand marketing and public relations and social media, that's going to get them through, but it's not. If you really want to thrive in a career, you have to understand it incredibly well.
Yes.
And that's what really has set us apart. And I think that in order to be that good at something, you have to really understand it.
You really do. And this is not an industry that you can be thin-skinned.
Exactly.
It is not an industry where you cannot know your product, and your product in this industry is the economy, it is the people, it is the weathering. And I mean, looking back at the timeline that you're talking about, we have been through some major economic crisis years. So being in PR and being in a position where you have to promote and you have to elevate and keep people on track is a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you definitely do need to know what you're doing. So that's good. And I'm sure you became a quick study because of what you do.
Well, there's no such thing as a quick study in the mortgage industry, I've got to say.
True.
It takes years and years, and I would say even more than a decade, So at my agency, I don't hire people with less than at least 10 years of industry experience.
You want the experience.
In the mortgage industry.
Right.
A lot of people even were former loan officers, which is really important.
It is. It totally is.
So I don't think there's such a thing as really learning the mortgage industry quickly. And I think having that commitment and that patience to really learn it and to realize that even when you feel like you know, you don't know.
Yeah.
And you have to keep learning.
That's
and
really
branching
important.
out. And even if you just have learned everything that your company does, that's not sufficient.
Right.
Because you know what, you become such a little microcosm and you don't really understand the whole universe. So once you're expanding and branching out, and for us, we've worked for so many companies that we've learned the whole ecosystem of it. And that's a big,
good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah,
all
but it's
of
great,
the above. So
it's
let's
great.
talk
It takes
about the
time.
good, bad, and ugly for a minute. I think
yeah.
you're in the perfect position for us to go down that road a little bit. And so, I'm going to do both sides of a coin right now, and I'm going to say, what was the most proud moment maybe in the last, the time frame that you've been in the industry, but what was the most challenging too? Can you speak to both of those things?
Absolutely. Well, to me the proudest is a thing that something came to me, it was a year ago or so, and it dawned on me. I started my agency about 16 years ago, and I realized we have served over 100 companies in the mortgage industry.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's impressive.
And when I realized that, I was like, wow, from blenders to service providers to technology companies and startups and big companies, small companies. And I realized we're not trying to figure this out. We really,
got it.
You got it,
Yeah, that feels good.
And it's funny because in the mortgage industry, a lot of people ask me, hey, you guys are the biggest agency here. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think there's any way for anybody to know.
How do you know? Right.
Yeah, I don't know. But we've done great. We're really happy. We don't have salespeople, so people just come to us by referral.
Very telling, yep.
It's just, they just believe in us. They hear about our reputation. And to me, I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, that's the biggest credence to what you're doing.
That really set me back. I was just like, wow.
That's awesome. That's a great feeling.
Cool.
And the challenge?
The challenge, I think the biggest challenge of my career, not even just, was that day when I found out that the company I was working for got sold.
Yeah.
And that was 16 years ago.
Like the rug came out.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. The rug came out from under me. I'd never lost my job. I mean, at this point, I'm VP of marketing of a company. I don't have a job. What am I going to do?
And you have people following you, and you're in charge of people.
Well, yeah. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? And so somebody suggested I start my own agency. And I said, no, that's not me.
Yeah.
2 days later, I thought about it. I was like, that's it. I'm going to do that.
But what a huge leap and risk, and I'm kind of in the same intersection right now in my career. Yeah. Just celebrated my 30th year, and I'm taking a leap into my own coaching company. Not saying that for any plug, but moreover to say I just really can relate to that intersection. And, there's one thing, and that kind of leads me to my last question for you, and it's going to be about success. But, I think, over this series of women that have been unbelievable, by the way, and I'm so glad you're part of this first season, I've asked that question, like, what does success mean to you? And I just think that word is, it's a word that defines so many things, but for women that are really able to persevere, to stay in this industry, to make it through everything, it's a big word. Yeah. And I think it's ingrained in our DNA. I can tell it's ingrained in yours, because that intersection would have destroyed a lot of women, a lot of people, and brought them to their knees. So just the fact that you now know you've amassed 100 companies means that you have something in you. What is it? Tell the followers, what is in your success DNA?
Gosh, I'm really committed. I'm really driven. And I'm really passionate. I think that people succeed when they really love what they do. And so I really think, and this is my advice to anybody, women and men and anybody, is find something that you're really, really, really passionate about. And dive into the deep end of the pool. Don't just sort of dabble or whatever it is, but really show your passion and let it come out. And go all out,
Yeah, give it everything.
Give it everything. And when I started the agency, when I had people come in and ask me for work, I kept saying, absolutely, I can do that for you. At one point, I had enough work for 3 of me.
Yeah, because you had put so much of your back into it.
But I was really into it, and I still am. And I love what I do, and I know that till my dying day, I'm going to be giving people marketing, PR, social media advice.
And you're lucky because you found the place where your heart, they call it the highest and best use. Those are big words this year, highest and best use. When you find that sweet spot in what you love, and we say it to people all the time, I feel so bad for people that do things that they don't love, right?
Yeah,
and I said that was my last question, but I lied.
Totally.
I have one more question.
Sure, go for
I think it's important for people to know that we have other people that pulled us up. We have other people somewhere along the line that during that very crucial moment gave us advice, gave us the opportunity, kept us on track from falling off. Who did that for you?
Wow. A few people. A few people have really been very influential to me in the mortgage industry. And so this is a great opportunity to thank them, I guess. So Brian Fitzpatrick, definitely one of those people who early on in my days gave me a lot of advice. And that was 16, 15 years ago. Tim Anderson, wow. These are people who everybody knows in the mortgage industry. If you don't know them, look them up. Tim Anderson really walked around these halls, these convention halls, and introduced me and said, "You need to work with Rosalie. Rosalie's amazing.
And was
she
your
really
champion.
does it." And he was really supportive of me. And those were the early days. And then now, like people like Sue Woodard. She's also another great woman. She is just like, she really shows you that you can be a passionate woman. You matter, and she's just driven. She inspires me all the time. So I would say those three people. I mean, I feel badly if I left anybody out. You know?
Sue was
But,
on one of the episodes on this season's show. Marcia Davies
She's
is
great.
the same way with
Absolutely.
Empower. I mean, it's just an amazing network of women that are holding each other up, and that's awesome. So that's great that you get a chance to say thank you. Well, thank you for coming on Power Womnn. We're super excited about the network of women that we have for this year's season. This new show, we know it's going to be a huge success, so we're glad that you're in our inaugural series. And so thank you, Rosalie Berg, everyone, Strategic Vantage. Thank you for coming on. And this is Christine Beckwith with Mortgage News Network and Power Women with Class. Thank you.